Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Shayana Ekadashi, one of the most purifying Ekadashi. On this auspicious occasion, I shall narrate the story of Shayana Ekadashi. The saintly king Yudhishthira Maharaja said, O Keshava, what is the name of the Ekadashi that occurs during the light fortnight of the month Ashada? Who is the worshipable deity for the auspicious day? And what is the process of observing this event? Lord Sri Krishna replied, O caretaker of this earthly planet, I shall gladly tell you a wonderful historical event that the Deva Lord Brahma once narrated to his son Narada Muni. One day, Narada Muni asked his father, what is the name of the Ekadashi that comes during the light part of the month of Ashada? Kindly tell me how I should observe this Ekadashi and thus please the Supreme Lord Sri Vishnu. Lord Brahma replied, O greatly orator, O best of all sages, O purest devotee of Lord Vishnu, your question is as usual excellent for all mankind. There is nothing better than Ekadashi, the day of Lord Sri Hari in this or any other world. It nullifies even the worst sins if observed purely. For this reason, I shall tell you about this Ashada Shukla Ekadashi. Fasting on this Ekadashi purifies one of all sins and fulfills all one's desires. Therefore, whoever neglects to observe this sacred fast day is a good candidate for entering into hell. Ashada Shukla Ekadashi is also famous as Padma Ekadashi. Just to please the Supreme Lord Hrishikesha, the master of senses, one should fast on this day. Listen carefully, O Narada, as I relate to you a wonderful historical event that was recorded in the scriptures regarding this Ekadashi. Just hearing this account destroys all kinds of sins, along with all obstacles on the path to spiritual perfection. O son, there was once a saintly king in the Surya Vamsha whose name is Mandata. Because he is always stood up for the truth, he was appointed emperor. He took care of his subjects as though they were his own family members and children. On account of his pity and great religiosity, there was no pestilence, drought, or disease of any kind in his entire kingdom. All his subjects were not only free from all kinds of disturbances, but also were very wealthy. The king's own treasury was free of any ill-gotten monies, and thus he ruled happily for many years. Once, however, because of some sin in his kingdom, there was a drought for 3 years. The subjects found themselves beset by famine also. The lack of food grains made it impossible for them to perform the prescribed Vedic sacrifices, offer oblations of Grita, ghee, to the forefathers and to the Devas, engage in any ritualistic worship, or even study the Vedic literatures. Finally, they all came before the beloved king in a great assembly and addressed him thus, O king, you always see to our welfare, so we humbly beg your assistance now. Everyone and everything in this world needs water. Without water, almost everything is rendered useless or dead. The Vedas call water Nara, and because the Supreme Personality of Godhead sleeps upon water, his another name is Narayana. God makes his own abode on water and takes his rest there. It is said that three things cannot exist without water: pearls, human beings, and flour. The essential quality of pearl is its luster, and that is due to water. The essence of the man in his semen, whose main constituent is water. And without water, the flour cannot be made into dough and then be cooked into various forms of bread offered to and eaten. Sometimes water is called Jalanarayana, the Supreme Lord in the form of this life sustaining substance, the water. In his form as the clouds, the Supreme Lord is present throughout the sky and pours forth rains, from which grow the grains that maintain every living entity. O King, the severe drought has caused a great lack of valuable grains. Thus, we are all miserable, and the population is decreasing as people die off or leave your kingdom. O best of ruler of earth, please find some solution to this problem and bring us to peace and prosperity once again. The king replied, You speak the truth, for grains are like Brahman, the absolute truth, who lives within grains and thereby sustains all beings. Indeed, it is because of grains that the entire world lives. Now, why is there a terrible drought in our kingdom? The Holy Scriptures discuss this subject very thoroughly. If a king or head of the country is irreligious, both he and his subjects suffer. I have meditated upon the cause of our problem for long, but after searching my past and present character, I can honestly say that I find no sin. Still, for a good of all you subjects, I shall try to remedy the solution. Thinking in this way, King Mandata assembled his army and entourage, paid his obeisances to me, and then entered the forest. He wandered here and there, seeking great sages in their ashramas and inquiring about how to resolve the crisis in his kingdom. At last he came upon the ashram of one of my other sons, Agira Muni, whose effulgence lit up all directions. Seated in his hermitage, Agira looked like a second Brahma. King Mandata was very pleased to see that exalted sages, whose senses were completely under control. The king immediately dismounted his horse and offered his respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of Agira Muni. Then the king joined his palms and prayed for the Muni's blessings. The saintly person reciprocated by blessing the king with sacred mantras. Then he asked him about the welfare of the 7 limbs of his kingdom. The 7 limbs of the kingdom's domain are the king himself, the ministers, his treasury, his military forces, his allies, the Brahmins, and the sacrificial performance performed in the kingdom, and the needs of the subjects under his care. After telling the sage how the 7 limbs of his kingdom were situated, King Mandata asked the sage about his own situation and if he was happy. Then Agira Muni asked the king why he had undertaken such a difficult journey into the forest, and the king told him of the affliction is a kingdom was suffering. The king said, O great sage, I am ruling and maintaining my kingdom while following the Vedic injunctions, and thus I do not know the reason for the drought. To solve this mystery, I have approached you for help. Please help me relieve the suffering of my subjects. Agira Rishi said to the king, the present age, Satya Yuga, is the best of all ages. For in this age, Dharma stands on all four legs: truthfulness, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness. In this age, everyone respects Brahmins as the topmost members of the society. Also, everyone fulfills his occupational duties, and only twice born Brahmins are allowed to perform Vedic austerities and penances. Although this is a standard, O lion among kings, there is one Shudra who is unlawfully performing the rites of austerity and penance in your kingdom. This is why there is no rain in your land. You should therefore punish his labor with death. For by doing you will remove the contamination inflicted by his actions and restore peace to your subjects. The king then replied, How can I kill an offenseless performer of austerity and sacrifice? Please give me a spiritual solution. The great sage Agira Muni then said, O king, you should observe a fast on the Ekadashi that occurs during the light fortnight of the month of Ashada. This auspicious day is named Padma Ekadashi, and by its influence, plentiful rains and thus grains and other foodstuffs will surely return to your kingdom. This Ekadashi bestows perfection upon its faithful observers, removes all kinds of bad elements, and destroys all obstacles on the path of perfection. O king, you, your relatives, and your subjects should all observe this sacred Ekadashi fast. Then everything in your kingdom will undoubtedly return to normal. Upon hearing these words, the king offered his obeisances and then returned to his palace. When the Padma Ekadashi arrived, King Mandata assembled all the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras in his kingdom and instructed them to strictly observe this important fast day. After they had observed it, the rains fell, just as the sage had predicted. And in due course of time, there were abundant crops and a rich harvest of grains. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord Hrishikesha, the master of the senses, all the subjects of King Mandata become extremely happy and prosperous. Therefore, O Narada, everyone should observe this Ekadashi fast very strictly, for it bestows all kinds of happiness as well as ultimate liberation upon the faithful devotee. Lord Sri Krishna concluded, My dear Yudhishthira, Padma Ekadashi is so powerful that one who simply reads and hears its glories becomes completely sinless. O Pandava, one who wishes to please me should strictly observe this Ekadashi, which is also known as the Deva Shayani Ekadashi. Deva Shayani Ekadashi or Vishnu Shayani indicates the day when Lord Vishnu goes to sleep with all the devatas, demigods. It is said that after this day one should not perform any new auspicious ceremonies until Devadattini Ekadashi, which occurs during the month of Kartika. because the Devas, being asleep, cannot be invited to the sacrificial arena, and because the sun is traveling along its southern course. Dakshinayanam. Lord Sri Krishna continued, O Lion King among Yudhishthira Maharaj, whoever wants liberation should regularly observe a fast on this Ekadashi, which is also the day when Chaturmasha fast begins. It is said that after this day one should not perform any new auspicious ceremonies until Devadattini Ekadashi, which occurs during the month of Kartika, because the Devas, demigods, being asleep, cannot be invited to the sacrificial arena, and because the sun is traveling along its southern course. Dakshinayanam. Lord Sri Krishna continued, O Lion among kings, Yudhishthira Maharaj, whoever wants liberation should regularly observe a fast on this Ekadashi, which is also the day when the Chaturmasha fast begins. Thus ends the narration of the glories of the Ashada Shukla Ekadashi, also known as the Padma Ekadashi or Devashayani Ekadashi, from the Bhavishya Uttara Purana. Hare Krishna.